Hi, it's Saturday, August 24th, Sunday the 25th in Japan, and we'll be talking about our same two systems today, Tropical Storm Hone and Typhoon Shanshan. We're going to be briefly touching on Hone as the system is approaching Hawaii today, and we'll begin to bring impacts in the next several hours there. But the rest of this video will be kept to Typhoon Shanshan, as that is a very significant threat to Japan as we go into the early week time frame, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is Tropical Storm Hone. As the day progresses here in Hawaii, the system center is still quite a ways away from the coast of Hawaii, but we're not expecting a landfall here. That really has not changed over the past couple of days. We're still on track to have this pass south, but we are still going to get some impacts here in particularly the big island of Hawaii, as we do have some gradient winds. Not really contributed by thunderstorm activity within the tropical cyclone itself. It's more of just a gradient from the high pressure system up north and a low pressure in the center that's causing some winds that could be 50 or 60 miles per hour, perhaps a little bit higher than that in the higher topography of the Big Island. But you can see that Hone is overall not doing all too hot. It has really been struggling over the past couple of days with the dry air we talked about with the cooler waters further north, and this has kept any convective bursts that have wrapped fully around really at bay, and it really has not been able to intensify to say perhaps a hurricane or close to that because of this limitation. Now we are seeing more convection on the north side of the low, perhaps over the center as well today, as this is likely an effect that we have warmer sea surface temperatures off towards the north now compared to where it was further east, and this is likely helping to increase some of the moisture around Hone. Now, having said that, there is still quite a lot of dry air that is apparent in the atmosphere, so it's going to take a while for that to get mixed out. But once it does, it may allow Hone a chance to become a hurricane briefly south of Hawaii before it begins to weaken from wind shear off further west. You can see the current wind profile. If we look at some earlier recon data, you can see the pressure about the same. It was around this value yesterday as well, so we really have not seen much pressure falls from this at all. But we still have some stronger winds on the north side. Again, pressure gradient caused, not really convective dynamics. But you can see these are some pretty strong winds regardless. These are 55, 60 knots at flight level. That's 65 to 70 miles per hour, near hurricane force at flight level. Now that's not at the surface. At the surface, it's probably around 50 or 60 miles per hour. But for high topography in the Big Island of Hawaii, we could absolutely still have this these higher values be seen, especially if this does nudge a little bit further north. You can see that in this last pass, we did have more of a northwest motion, and that could put some of these stronger winds closer to the Big Island. And it's going to be a bit of a windy night as we go throughout the rest of the weekend, really into this Sunday here in the Big Island of Hawaii. But this is forecast to be a pretty quick mover. You can see by Sunday evening, it's moving well away from you all in Hawaii County. Now, do keep in mind, we will have a trough that's forecast to be west of Hawaii by this time. And it's possible that with the shear that it brings over Hone, which causes it to weaken, it pushes some more of its thunderstorm activity and wind impacts further northeast. Though as of right now, it's not anticipated to be anything too significant. So that's why you don't see tropical storm watches or warnings here for the rest of Hawaii. But could have some scattered showers and thunderstorm activity throughout the rest of the weekend. But you can see by early week, the system's moving well away from you all and will be likely weakening as it heads further west towards the West Pacific. Now, one more thing for Hawaii, I do want to quickly touch on Hurricane Gilma, way further east of you all. This system is just near the Central Pacific Basin. It starts at about 140 degrees west of longitude. We're just about to 131.5 degrees west of longitude. And this system is doing pretty well for itself. It's getting into cooler seasonal temperatures. You can see these stratocumulus clouds just ahead of it. That's indicating those cooler seasonal temperatures that are not too far from the system's center now. But even then, we're still seeing intensification. In fact, we just got a special advisory from the Hurricane Center upgrading this back to a major hurricane. This could get near Category 4 intensity before it really runs out of fuel with this warm water that it's tracking into. Now, this doesn't change much for Hawaii. We're still expecting significant weakening from the cooler seasurface temperatures. You can see in the current Hurricane Center forecast, they're expecting that having it lose hurricane intensity by Monday evening, and then by Thursday morning, approaching the islands of Hawaii as a more non-tropical cyclone. Would likely be a remnant low or perhaps a trough. Models are not really showing all too much from this, and you would expect it because we really have cooler seasurface temperatures here. Hone's tracking more like this in cooler or warmer waters, but Gilma's going to be tracking right over those cold waters, and that's really not going to help it at all stay a tropical cyclone. But it will be entering some warmer seasurface temperatures as it does arrive near the Hawaiian Islands, so it's possible that we have some increased shower and thunderstorm activity here. So stay tuned to the Central Pacific Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service office in Honolulu for the best information ahead of this, so you're prepared just in case it does try anything when we get there. All right, we're now going to move off towards the West Pacific as we have Typhoon Shanshan here. Now moving further north and west towards Japan. The system is still struggling some with some shear. You can see that we have continued curling convective bursts as the sun rises. It is a pretty good sign, especially if you compare this to some microwave data that we got earlier, showing that we do have a pretty nice curved band wrapping into this mid-level eye. Now, if we look deeper into the structure of the system, we do begin to see some issues with it. If we look at the low-level microwave imagery, we don't see as well-defined of an eye. We really only have sort of this half core going on here with Shanshan, highlighting potentially some still prevalent wind shear impacting the storm from the south. And we did see this in some modeled soundings. There is a little bit of a speed difference in terms of winds from the upper levels to the lower levels. So that is causing a little bit of shear, and this is likely also attributing to a slight tilt in the vortex. If I highlight the low level center there, you can see that we do have it a bit offset from the mid-level low. So this is not fully ready to intensify, but it is certainly on its way. And if we look at water vapor imagery, we can see the pattern evolving as we expected. The trough has now morphed into a cutoff upper low, which is now beginning to back towards the south and west. And Shanshan is on the eastern and northeastern side of this, kicking northwest. And over the next couple of days, this will continue to do so. And once it gets to the vicinity south of Japan, we'll be looking towards more intensification of the system as shear relaxes. And the waters are very warm here, so this will likely, unfortunately, allow the system to intensify quite significantly, and models are consistently showing still this potential for what could be a rapidly intensifying typhoon on approach to Japan. You can see this happen on the GFS on the upper low wind plot. You can see the current analysis with this upper low beginning to back southwest, and here's Shanshan, and it gets kicked northwest. So we get pretty close to even some of these southern Japanese islands. This has been a noticeable trend over the past couple of days. We've seen the storm get kicked back a little bit further west, so we may be increasing some threat to some of these islands as well. But you can see that by this time, we now have a lighter shear environment, and we have still some divergent flow from the remnants of this upper low, but also we have some troughiness over here in the Sea of Japan contributing to some forward outflows channels. And this is a low shear environment capable of allowing a tropical cyclone to rapidly intensify. And you can see that it happens on the GFS. It goes from the 960s in pressure down to the 940s. And this could certainly be, the equivalent of a Category 3 or Category 4 typhoon by the time it gets here. Now, after this, the system is going to begin to turn towards the north, and we may get perhaps a little bit of shear from this. You can see the GFS does show a little bit of weakening from that. Perhaps some shear from the eastern edge of this upper high that could be bringing maybe some northerly shear. But we also have perhaps maybe some remnant shear from this upper low. But I wouldn't imagine that's all too much because this upper low is weakening in this time frame. But this storm is going to begin to track north and northeast towards Japan as this new trough comes in over northeastern China and over North Korea. And the question right now is, will the system be able to take advantage of perhaps the jet streak that sets up east of this trough. You can see that we have, here's the base of the trough. We have this area of accelerating winds where we get into green, yellow, and red. This is a jet streak, and this can oftentimes lead to, in optimal positions like this, a good divergent flow off towards the north, which can help the convection within these tropical cyclones, which can help them intensify even while shear is increasing. You would expect shear to increase because we do have this trough coming in with the stronger westerly flow on the base of it. But in a way, this jet streak can work to offset the impacts of the shear, at least for some time. And right now, models are showing this jet interaction occurring right as the system does come into the coastline. You can see it deepens again on the GFS from about 950 to 946 millibars on this, and that could be, some slight intensification on this run. Now, we've also seen with that westward shift the overall landfall spot change in Japan. This is still subject to change. We've had some locations up closer to Tokyo, and we've even had some solutions maybe a bit further west from where we have right now. But what we can tell you is that in southern Japan, confidence is now high on what could be a very significant typhoon coming your way as we get into the early to midweek time frame. And you can see on the GFS ensembles, the track guidance is now all honed in on southern Japan. We had a couple of days ago some outlier models that still showed perhaps a scenario where the system was able to escape out to sea, but right now the trends are that the system will be far west enough to where it really cannot miss Japan in this type of a pattern. And you can see this depicted on the current Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast cone. They're forecasting it to intensify quite significantly as it does make this northwestward bend, and then perhaps a little bit of weakening on their forecast, but I wouldn't be all too keen on it weakening all too much because of that jet interaction. Of course, there are some things that could keep it happening, but as of right now, those are more difficult to predict, and I would expect what could be a near Category 3 equivalent typhoon coming through here. And this could be very significant for the region, as I don't think we really get a lot of strong storms here. Usually you get your strong Category 3 plus storms way further south of here, so this may be a little bit unusual for this area of Japan. Now, one thing as well that I should mention, this system will be accelerating as it does come ashore. You can see this on the GFS. It really speeds up and picks up that forward motion as it comes into Japan. Now, this is good news for the landfall spot as it decreases the time that you have with those stronger winds, but the unfortunate side effect of this is that now as the system moves north and northeast, it has less time to lose that wind as it comes north, and we could have a significant wind event across much of central and northern Japan as the system does move further north. And this could be a significant threat not just for the coastline but also much of Japan. Unfortunately, the third one we've had in the past few weeks. It's been a very active subtropical pattern here in the West Pacific for sure. That's all that I've got for today on Shanshan. I'll leave links to the Japan Meteorological Agency, and I'll also leave some links to the Hawaiian weather offices in the description so you can click ahead to those websites and not have to search for them on the web. But thank you all for watching. Stay safe as Hone and Shanshan comes through, and I'll have more videos over the next few days as these storms progress. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.